Thank you for taking the time. I understand you've been busy today.
Yeah, a little bit. It's
Yeah.
a long day, but yeah. It's, we've got Eric Yollick and those guys coming this afternoon. I
What
heard
are
you
they
guys.
coming for today?
They want to tour the facility.
Tour this facility?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of them.
Well, I'm probably not as fun as a tour. I'm here to talk about drainage.
That's all right. That's all right. And drainage is a tough subject. It really is. And I was thinking, last night about you coming today, and when I took office, people were like, "Oh, finally got a commissioner that's going to do something about the flooding." Well, God's the only one that can really. God's control of the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're in control somewhat of how the water flows.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
The real problem is we have a system of ditches, and the ditches belong to either the state or the county, or they're private.
Yeah.
And if you come in to build a building, per se, or a house, or anything else, what the permitting department does, now in a house they don't do it. A house is done by subdivision. They figure out how many rooftops you're going to do, how much the driveway is going to be in. It's called impervious cover.
They have that stuff planned out.
Yeah. Impervious cover, basically anything that the water can't, that it was going into the soil there, now it can't go into the soil, so it has to run off and go somewhere else. And the ground's only got so much, and there's a certain amount of, like, here's the slab, and it runs off. Well, some of it will still migrate underneath, but it's a clear-cut calculation. And when they make a developer put in a detention pond, and there's two types of ponds. There's a detention pond and a retention pond.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like it sounds. It's pretty simple, but
Yeah.
A detention pond is designed. Okay, say here's the pond. All right, and here is the land around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's designed to drain through the ditch system into here. And if the outfall, say the river or the main ditch or whatever is down here, it's only allowed to come out at a metered rate. So there's either like a keyway or a pipe or a restrictor of some sort that what it's supposed to do. Okay, say these guys were getting 10 gallons a minute. That's just a rule of thumb or whatever. It's not anything that is relative, but after all this building's done, if you hadn't put the pond in there, they might have been getting 100 gallons a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So this has to be able to handle 90 gallons a minute in the size, and then it's only supposed to let it out at 10 gallons a minute. So this guy's not impacted down there. So the problem we have in Montgomery County is, I always say, we hold a gun to your head, tell you to put in $1 million detention pond. It's all done, everything's done, the subdivision starts getting developed, and then we walk away and nobody comes back and inspects it. We've got people to inspect septic systems, we don't have anybody to inspect detention ponds. So what happens is they come up and they become in disrepair. The outfall erodes away, pine trees grow in there, grass. We even had, let's see if I can pull this up.
Now,
I hadn't got to retention ponds. I will. I forgot. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I was gonna ask the drainage. You have a drainage map of Montgomery County, correct? Like, or at least East Montgomery County.
It's online. Yeah, we do.
And then from that map, I know I have seen around town how the signs saying the roads are the various projects that are in development and what stages they are. And I know, given the rain that just came through, those got kind of put on hold. Definitely as well. Do you have an estimated completion time from those projects, or do you have a map also of where those projects are?
The local projects we don't. We don't keep them just because we're moving at a pretty fast rate. I just cleaned up, so I don't know where I could get you a list of what we've got done and what we've got on the books. And I was going to show you this little. Let me see if I can bring this little video on. You ever go to WIMP?
No, I'm afraid I haven't heard of it.
It's just people that
Upload stuff.
it can be anything. Huh. I thought it was in the first. Anyway, but it shows you that was the one that was on the teacher pranks with a spelling test full of gibberish. That was on. It shows you what happens when moisture hits the dirt, and it's like a time lapse deal. Anyway,
I can imagine. I would definitely like a copy as well of the project list and what y'all are going to be doing moving forward with that.
Sure, I can get that for you. No problem.
Be helpful. Do you have a set plan to address drainage, or are y'all still figuring that out? For East Montgomery County, I understand Allendale, y'all have been planning for that one.
Well,
Y'all have been doing engineering studies and figuring out how to fix the drainage problem there. However, for overall East Montgomery County, do you have an idea for how you're going to address the drainage there, or where you would start? Do you have a starting point?
Allendale was kind of a unique. And it's terrible to say that the squeaky wheel gets the grease, but sometimes when you got that much public outcry, well, basically, after we did the engineering studies and figured out, TxDOT had originally, proposed a $3 million ditch, which they scrapped because of cost. I mean, when they did the 242 project, they didn't have the money. It was, it was going to run along 242, which we could have drained into. And, after we went through all the exercise, basically what happened was, there's a guy that had the gun range, blocked off the water.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason he blocked off the water, we've now found out, is because the guy down at the end blocked the water off and it was backing it up on him. So he just said, well, I'll just back it up on the next guy. Well, what it did, it put it out into the neighborhoods. And the solution's going to be, I don't know if I'm not going to spend another $100,000 on drainage. We've got the ditch somewhat open now, but we need to create more volume.
Which ditch is open?
The ditch running through his property.
Through Thunder
Gun
Gun Range?
Thunder Gun Range, yeah.
Okay.
He's opened it up, and it's it's not as bad. There's still. Here's the real problem with East Montgomery County. This is a low-lying area for the most part. We've got, and I started looking about doing a drainage improvement district. I hate the words flood control because that's really two negatives. And I guess the thing that you will notice is, I just pulled up. See Texas flooding. Harris County. So
I do remember watching those videos on the news as well and seeing it live.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, why's that happening? They got a flood control district.
Mm-hmm.
People pay millions and millions of dollars into it.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be happening. I mean, what I'm saying is your obvious person would say, okay, say you need a set of shocks for your car.
Mm-hmm.
You go down and you buy it's bouncing. And
Right.
we got a problem. Every time we can't make the curve because it's doing this and that. Well, we go down and buy a set of shocks and the problem's solved.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is drainage. It's not that simple. Drainage can be improved upon. It is a huge, you have to, say, like this Allendale project, there was $5 million option, there was a $3 million,
Yeah.
2.5, several options in there, but you have to look and say, okay, all right, well, we're going to go, the $3 million project is the cheapest we can go.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to spend $3 million. Okay, well, say there's 100 homes in there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
$30,000 a piece, I think.
Mhm. Definitely, and that would definitely cause an increase in taxes to
Right, and
charge on the
that's
citizens.
$30,000 a piece. So, some of those homes in there aren't worth $30,000 a piece. I mean, there's a lot of mobile homes in there, and some of them are. But what I'm saying is, you get to a point where it's borderline. Is it worth it or is it not worth it? I mean, you go in and clean the ditches out, you do the best job you can, but the thing that hasn't changed from commissioner to commissioner to commissioner is the elevation. Now, there has been a change in the base flood map just because, they come back and upgrade the flood map.
Mhm.
In my opinion, they did a fairly good job of it, but there's some places that they're saying that was in the floodplain that's not in the floodplain now.
Mhm.
And I agree with those. But then there's some places that I've never seen flood, and they say it's in the floodway.
Mhm.
And I did what the difference between floodplain and floodway is.
Yes.
Floodplain, it's likely
We
to
flooded
flood.
the last time, so yeah.
Yeah. But floodway, you can't build anything on it. I think a 5-strand barbed wire fence or something is the highest.
Mhm.
You can't even put a privacy fence on it because it's. So anyway, but you can go out and do what's called a map revision. But here again, it's going to cost you, several $1,000s to go out and get a map revision done.
Mhm.
And let me go back to detention and retention pond, basically, like you see down in the Woodlands. And I think I've told you that same thing before. Is that the water's there? It's a water feature. They've got a fountain, and you look over there, and there's this concrete spillway. Same thing. Water comes up the grass, gets to the spillway, and pours out. And then when the rain dissipates, it goes back
It's
down.
meant to keep that water there.
Yeah, it's a water feature.
Mhm.
And those are more maintenance intensive, and they cost more to build. So you're going to ask me a question. I'm sorry.
It's okay. However, in East Montgomery County, yes, we have low elevation as well, but also the drainage. We have so many ditches that are just not graded at all. You have people coming in that will place their own culverts in, that will place them too high, and you have people that will come in and not do a culvert at all and just fill in dirt and basically cause a blockage in the drainage. Is there any way or system where you can go out there and address these things on a basis?
Yeah, it's basically, unfortunately, this office is kind of like, it's not like a sign shop where you may go out and call on people and say, hey, we'd like to do your signs or whatever. We're a reactive. I'm not saying we're not proactive. I'm just saying if the guys see something that somebody's done, like, I've called and said, hey, this guy just, filled the dirt in with ditch, y'all get out there. A ditch in with dirt, y'all get out there. So, but most of our calls come from a neighbor. So, hey, the guy just plugged the ditch up, or my neighbor's culvert's not draining, or whatever. And I mean, we get calls, and it just goes through the work order system. And based on the severity of it, I mean, somebody like maybe building a brand new home, they need a driveway. We try to get driveways done within 3 days.
What is the correct procedure for putting your driveway in?
Okay. You either call in or come down here and tell us, give us your address and your information. Let me see here. I don't do it every day, so I think we set up a time for a operator to come out there, and he will look at the driveway. It's minimum 20 feet, maximum 40 feet. So you can't have a driveway narrower than 20. You can only go up to 40. You can go up further, but it requires more permitting. But anyway, and then you have to pay for the pipe. And then the guy will come out and you mark
The guy from the county.
Right.
Okay.
You don't buy it from the county. You buy it just from a.
Okay, so you buy your pipe and then
Buy your
once
pipe
you got it
separately.
sitting there-
And what about dirt or gravel to fill in?
We like to use either crushed concrete or millings, which is milled asphalt, and it's $300 a load. We don't sell, like if you come in and say, I want 2 loads of crushed concrete for my driveway. We don't sell it,
Right.
but we
They'd
do
have
sell
to go
it.
to a different.
We do sell the driveway material. I mean, to cover the pipe. So what our guy will do, he'll come out and he'll say, okay, all right, well, we got the house is here and you want your driveway here, but your neighbor's driveway is here and there's only 5 feet between 2 culverts. We're going to say, no, you need to be at least this many feet off. And we'll tell you where your hey, your driveway looks great. We'll be out there tomorrow. You're going to take 1 load of rock, or you're going to take 1.5 loads of rock, or 2 loads or whatever. And then you'll come in the office. You've got your pipe. You went down, they told you what size, and they'll determine the diameter of the pipe. So location and diameter of the pipe is done by our folks. And it's like, well, why are we putting in people's driveways? We're putting in people's driveways because in the long run, it saves the county a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because it gets in the right place. The pipe is sized right. It's put in with the right materials and at the right elevation. So it's been done that way for a long time. So the consumer pays for the pipe and the needed backfill material, and then
The county will come out and perform the work for them.
Yep.
And so I'm guessing that also includes grading the culvert towards at the right level. Now, what about people? You said you have to permit for this. I know for pretty much fact there are lots of people that don't go for permitting.
There's no permit for.
There's no
For
permit?
the driveway.
No, it's just it's a work order.
Is it
It's a work
something you
order.
The
prefer?
permit
people-
would be like, say, a Walmart or something that's going to put like box culverts in that require engineering. That's why I said there are driveways that are beyond 40 feet. We don't deal with a lot of those because most of those are on state roads.
So people should not be just installing their own
Nope.
culverts. They should be calling up
Yep.
here first.
Yep. And if you see a driveway that's been put in that we didn't put it in. Now I will tell you this: we've went out where somebody's put their driveway in, and lo and behold, they've got the right size pipe or one size bigger. As long as it doesn't, you can't put in a 48-inch
Right.
drive in your driveway like that. We don't want that. But if it's at least meets the minimum standard, we have one out and somebody, they paid a contractor, $3,000 to put a driveway in. Well, hopefully he knew what he was doing. But we just,
Now, whenever the person purchases the culvert and the backfill, is there any cost to them from the county when the county comes out and perform the work?
No.
No? Okay.
How about people that have collapsed driveways where the culvert is collapsed or
it's really the county's, we should come out, we should maintain that because it's part of our drainage system. So in most cases, unless it's something that the owner has done, we'll just replace it. We'll pull it out and replace it, except we won't do it on a concrete driveway. We'll come out and do the pipe work, but you'll have to have the concrete work done.
the work done? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's basically, it's almost like a new culvert set.
So like if somebody's got a collapsed driveway, they just will call up here, a collapsed culvert in their driveway. It's not concrete. It's just, it's got the gravel over it. And they would just call up here and say, my culvert is collapsed.
I'm saying that. Let's see if Bill's back yet, because I didn't want to get y'all a copy of that road deal before you leave. I heard you got to leave. Are you going somewhere to Houston?
Yeah.
Yes, we gotta go to Houston off of Westheimer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What time you got to be there?
5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all right now. Now then, these roads that are these various road projects, like you see on Tram Road and on basically mostly on trams, what I've seen, those are not included in the road. Those are not a part of the road bond money,
No.
correct?
That's
just regular county
right.
maintenance.
See, I've got a lady right now that I've got to call that's all upset because Bill told her, my inspector, he's more than an inspector, but he's my field guy, told her that her road was going to be on the project list for next year because it was on this year or last year's project list, but it didn't make it. Well, unfortunately, what happens is it's not like you've got people standing in line for the TV on Christmas, at Best Buy, and you've got your spot in line.
Mhm.
Every year we do a reassessment. Well, unfortunately, last year we had a lot of rain. You get a lot of rain, you get a lot of moisture on the road base, and you cause a lot of roads to fail. Well, what happened is hers was on the list, and it was on the bottom of the list, but we had so much rain that you got 30 roads or something that moved past her because the road it needs to be resurfaced, but it's not undrivable condition. But you've got people that's got potholes that deep that, from the floods. I mean, we didn't get caught up until after the first of the year with the floods because we had major washouts, and I'm talking like tank car, like a railroad tank car. We buy that. It's an easy way. If you bought a culvert that big, it'd be, $20,000, and we can buy a tank car for I think about $8,000, and they're just as strong and do the job. I mean, the water still passes through, but we had 7 or 8 of those that failed, and you have to cut those. I mean, some of those, and you do that like you do the road projects. You got 100 people here that can't get out. Well, we're going to be there till it's fixed. But you've got one guy that can't get out. Well,
One takes
is
precedence over the
your
other.
heart patient or whatever, or you've got alternate routes where people may have to go around, but they're going to be later on the list just because of that problem. We had a situation where we got behind on driveways over off Waukegan Road, and the contractor the builder just took it on himself that he was just going to go ahead and set his own driveways. Well, we met over there about 6 weeks ago and said, "Hey, look, I apologize, but you didn't follow the procedure, and you're backing up all these people's water." So, I mean, he had to go in and saw cut the driveways. The people were, they were upset, but they were happy because they, had a mosquito den there where it had backed up and the water was standing. That's the other thing over here, and that's one of the things I've tried to really be proactive on is I think all the other commissioners have I guess, what do you call it? I mean, just got somebody else to do it. They farmed out the mosquito spraying to a service, but we do our own. We start at 3 o'clock in the morning and start spraying, and it's kind of funny. There's no video because they had, just started this January where we had to have video, but remember back when they called and we had this $1 million mosquito, the airplanes come over and sprayed because of the West Nile. Yeah. Well, this doctor's up there talking, and just, excuse my language, it's just Ed. He says, you talked about that you need to rotate these chemicals out because they build up a tolerance to it.
Right.
He said, why in the hell didn't somebody tell me? We've been using the same spray. Well, we might as well not even been spraying. So, and the other thing was we had equipment that worked sometimes. So you might be spraying a 5-mile road and look back and you don't see the fog anymore. Of course, it's dark. How could you see it?
Right.
And so anyway, we changed that out and we're doing a complete rotation. Another thing we've done to try to combat the mosquitoes is we've started taking tires in on heavy trash day. Because that is a major breeding ground for mosquitoes. You get a little water, they just love that.
Well, that's another thing. People just throw all areas of the can that backs up the drainage too.
Yeah, and that's the other thought that was into it, is it does block up the drainage.
I mean, definitely you have, as we just went through a bout of rain here, and luckily Montgomery County did not get flooded. It was more on the west side of Houston. However, people are nervous because it is that time of year again where we've been flooding, and we're still not through May, and we still got that chance of flooding. And you see instances across East County where you have ditches that just retain water, and I mean you have ditches that the water has turned black for the simple fact it sat there for so long. And so what I've noticed is that people are wanting some kind of way to help either have the county out here, or I've had some people talk about starting to dig the ditches themselves. But I understand that grading plays a factor in ensuring everything drains towards one direction.
See, most everything flows out to the ditch.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that flows out to the ditch flows into the tributary, whether it be a stream into a creek and a creek into a river. That's the normal process. Here's the problem we deal with is, we've got one area, I can't remember what the name of it is, but anyway, the ditches are dry, but for the people downstream, but the people upstream, their ditches are full. And the reason it's full is because, okay, we've got a county road here, and we've got a county road here, and we've got this guy here. Well, this guy here, it's his property. I've always heard, that you can't divert the natural flow of the water, or you can't block the natural flow of the water. Well, you can. There's nothing I can do about it because I don't have a ticket book, or the only remedy is for this person or that person to go and file a civil judgment against them, and they have to be able to show the damage. It's a pretty telling, but the problem is, even just say you got this subdivision down here that normally takes this water on, and it's been taking it on. These ditches are fine, everything's flowing, but the problem is a tree fell, and then the debris started coming up. Somebody threw some tires in there, and then somebody threw an old boat. Well, all of a sudden it's backed up. I can't go off the county property and go onto that and clear it out against the law.
So that's why basically they just cut trees in the ditches, and like it goes across, they cut it.
They're supposed to cut it to the back. They're supposed to cut it to the, and there's some that I've just noticed that back in this last windstorm we had that we got to go back out. We're supposed to cut it to the back side of the ditch and stop.
Okay.
Now, has there been a situation where we grabbed a hold of the tree and there was this much in the root ball left and it was in the lady's yard? We try to be a good neighbor, but as far as you talking about getting the equipment off of the county and onto somebody's property, you just can't do that.
I see a lot of them cut off, like you said, at the back of the ditch, but then it looks like the log is just rolled up there, I guess, for a different crew to come back and pick up, or?
It shouldn't be. They should pick that up, unless it's just too big for us to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got several locations throughout the precinct 4 where we've got some erosion going on, and it's eroding up under, getting closer to people's houses. But we don't have control of the drainage, and that's one good thing about a drainage improvement district. But here's the problem: you won't pay more taxes.
Nobody wants to. If it was really going to make a difference, possibly.
But here's the catch, and something we're doing right now, because public safety and life are the two most important things that we deal with. So we're putting in these crossing arms for the people who don't have sense enough to know that there's water there.
Yeah, I've seen them.
And we're gonna, and what we've done is, see, in the past we've ran around like chickens with their heads cut off with barrels and barricades and tape, and me and my wife were out, just because we didn't have enough guys, and we were out putting some tape back up where somebody had driven through a barricade down off of Crockett Martin Road. And I went back down and put the tape up. So me and her, I said, we're going to get another call. So we just backed up over the road. I said, you know what? Somebody's going to come along here and just drive through that. And there was already a car submerged. Like you could see the cab sticking out. And this girl came down in this big 4-wheel drive and just drove through the tape, drove through the danger sign, knocked everything over. Of course, I pulled in behind her and turned her lights on. I was just, I just went in here washing my tires off. I wasn't going to go through it. So hopefully some of these barricades are going to help with the safety factor. But I guess what I'm telling you, and probably the answer that nobody wants to hear, I can't fix the problem we've got. Houston can't fix the problem they've got. They put up some gates and did some stuff like what we're doing as well to help with the public safety, but you cannot. I mean, even if I did what Houston has done with the canals, they talk about the canals and how full they get, and even if you put the canal systems in, replace some of the detention ponds, put all that in the tributary, whenever it comes a rain of a torrential nature, and it comes in an area, so that's like when we had this last big flood last year. That's why a lot of people got flooded that's never been flooded before, and they say, oh, well, the Grand Parkway did it, or this person did it, but some people that weren't even close to the Grand Parkway and had nothing to do with it got flooded that didn't.
Right.
And then some people that did get flooded, who always get flooded, didn't flood. And it was just because of the concentration and the location of the rain. So,
Well, that's one thing. You have, with torrential rain, that's to be expected. I mean, if it rains torrentially for 3 days straight, the water's going to rise. But you also have instances where you have a spring shower and the ditches are backed up. Even if it only rains for a couple of hours, it can end up flowing into someone's yard. It can end up flowing onto the street. Something that should not have caused such a problem will.
I don't disagree with that. But here again, we've got the problem of we don't control. Once it leaves the ditch or before it gets to the ditch, we have no control over that. I want to show you all this one deal that's kind of interesting. Let's see here.
I understand you're one man and you're busy a lot as well. I mean, you got.
Yeah, but I mean, it really doesn't. It really doesn't have anything to do with busy as.
It's not just that as well, but
Well,
what would it take to start digging out some of these ditches to provide a clear pathway for the water to begin flowing?
We do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 3 grade off crews, and they're digging somewhere every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I want. Okay. Let's try that one.
It appears it's frozen.
Yeah, it's acting like it. Anyway.
Have you
problem-
considered talking about the Army Corps engineers, bringing
Oh,
them
yeah.
to this?
Oh yeah, we've talked to the Army Corps of Engineers, and but here again, it takes money. It takes, we don't have the money to fix the roads and clean the ditches that we do have now. We'll eventually get everybody's ditch cleaned out. And I mean, and here's the deal is, Bill tries to use some type of common sense when when we put these work orders out. Okay, we've got these ditches down here that are maybe got black water in them or whatever, but we absolutely positively know that outfall ditch down there where the water's supposed to be going is blocked for whatever reason, and we can't do anything about it. And normally what ends up happening, frankly, is either a group of neighbors will get together, or somebody, will go run a track hole, or they'll get somebody in there and they'll break it up and do it. But as far as a county, we can't do it. So what are we going to do? We're going to go clean the ditches where the water is and get the water scooped out, and just know that when the rain comes back, it can't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you really shouldn't try to clean ditches out when they are full of water.
Oh yes, that can provide complications.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. this is Tees Road 3083, Coles and Dress Barn, Lane Bryan, all that stuff up there. Well, there's a detention pond back here, okay? Oh, we would get close enough to. And it was designed for all the water to flow off of this subdivision, off this shopping center up here, flow into here, come down here, and the outfall is, I think, somewhere right in here. I think the pipe comes through and it's supposed to flow into these chain of lakes, and it comes across. I'll zoom back out. You know why that's full of water? Beavers decided they wanted, and they built a dam, a U-shaped dam around that outfall pipe to block the water off, and now the water doesn't go anywhere. Well, technically it's, the shopping center's job to keep that clear. Now the city of Conroe, hadn't done anything, but why haven't they done anything? Well, the water flows from here to here, down to here, and then it crosses right in here. There's a box culvert. There's the big box culverts, and it comes down and flows. You can see how it flows. Well, why has nobody said anything? Well, these people aren't flooding. These people aren't flooding. But that's what I'm saying. It's stuff like beaver dams, trees that fall naturally.
Well, who is responsible for cleaning the tributaries when they go, as things flow out?
There is nobody.
No.
It's up to the private citizen. Now, I will say this, that we haven't had much of it in the rivers, or more especially the rivers, but also the creeks. Is you can get the Army Corps of Engineer to come in if we've got a problem. We haven't had any major problems.
I understand Peach Creek was pretty bad.
Yeah.
As far as with all the debris and everything in it.
Yeah, and I think they were working on
Who is they?
the Army Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps of
They are
Engineers.
working on the Peach Creek.
Right. I talked to, I was trying to think what that guy's name was. I'll get it for you. But anyway, we talked about, what they were going to be able to do and go into that. Basically, they get, the Corps comes in with men and equipment, and they do work. But, most of the stuff that we're dealing with is on private property. Corps can't get involved in that. We can't get involved in that. Even, like since I've taken office, I don't know, I've probably done it 5 or 6 times. You get down here and, here's the driveway, and a lady calls and says, hey, my mother's 80 years old, and the ambulance has been coming, 3 times a week, and they can't get down to the house. I can do a courtesy grade because you're not using any kind of materials, but in most cases they need a couple loads of rock or something like that. Well, I can't, just because my heart's in the right place and I know that little old lady needs it and she can't afford it.
Yeah.
I've taken and paid for it out of my pocket, and done it just because it's the right thing to do. But if I was going to try to fix the drainage problems, and nobody, here's the problem. It's, that driveway, they drive on it every day, so they ain't going away. But the flood, I guarantee you, if I'd have had a flood insurance booklet and a deal here right after the last big flood, and I set up on the side of the road and said I'm selling flood insurance, I'd have had people lined up down the road wanting to buy it. But 90 days from then, you say, hey, you want to buy flood insurance? Yeah, I'm going to take a vacation. So it only becomes, the flooding only really becomes important until the rain gets here. And I'd love to tell you that I could fix all the problems. All we can do is what we can get. And sometimes we have large property owners who we do get involved and say, hey, look, guys, we're backing up. We've got 3 subdivisions coming up, like the deal over at Allendale. The reason I'm not going to go ahead and spend the extra money on the extra engineering is because the subdivision developer that said he would be interested in utilizing some of that drainage, and he would improve it to the point that it would help Allendale as well. Well, like if he needs 6 buckets of paint and Allendale needs 4, to do their job, he's just going to buy all 10 buckets and we'll have enough to fix that going that way. It's all going this way now. We need some of it to go that way and some of it to go this way.
Well, the subdivision, is this a new subdivision going in next to Allendale or improvements to?
It'll be going across the street, but the channel that this guy's going to put in will be able to handle some of the water coming in.
This is regarding the situation in Allendale. What stage is it in right now? Have
Well,
y'all actually put shovels in the ground, or are
no.
y'all working
No.
still engineering?
I'm working with number one, I'm working with the property owner to make sure. We've got 2 property owners there that I still haven't talked to, and I don't want to get in the middle of digging something and get down there. And I think people are going to be acceptable if the water's not backing up. We've already talked to Jesse, who is the major portion of the deal.
Mhm.
But I've got to get 2 more property owners. Then we've got to come out and when an operator comes out to dig a ditch like this or on a big project like that, he needs to see grade stakes.
Mhm.
And there'll be one here that'll say cut 3 foot, fill this, cut, fill, whatever.
Right.
And he goes along and follows the stakes. So I've got to get a survey company to come back out and do a survey of the channel. And once we get the survey of the channel in, I've got to wait for an opening for my grade all, or my track haul, and I'll have to rent a dozer. There's no way that I can afford out of my budget, and it would be, even if I took this on as a project and said, look, we're gonna hire it out, done, but it's gonna take 5 budget cycles before I can get the money. Well, the contractor's not gonna start until I get the money.
Mhm.
Well, by the time 5 budget cycles is up, what would be a $300,000 project may be a $500,000 project.
Mhm.
So the only feasible way for me to do it is to wait until I get the equipment freed up. I've got 1 track haul. I don't have a dozer. I'll go rent a dozer, and we'll get the track haul and the dozer in there. It'll probably take a couple of weeks, and we'll go in and put the necessary drainage in and put the erosion control down, and we'll fix it ourselves probably for, you don't put a gauge to what you're already paying, like your help and stuff. You're already paying that, but I mean, for about a little less than half the cost, we can do it ourselves.
Mhm.
So that's the plan, is we're going to try to do it in-house and ourselves, but it'll probably be another 90 days before we see any shovels on the ground, just through getting the logistics going. So
What is the current backlog of work orders for your office?
you can get Miss Barbara on the phone.
Commissioner Clark's office, how may I help you?
Well, it sure is. What's going on down there?
Oh, it's just going on.
All right, I got a reporter in here, so be sweet.
Okay, I will.
How many back orders? I mean, how many work orders are we backed up right? What's the volume right now?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to get Martha to pull that report up.
All right, get her to, if she can pull that report up for me and print it out and bring it in.
Okay, you wanna know how many open work orders we have right now?
Yeah, and maybe how many we've completed in the last couple of months or something like that.
Okay,
And then is Bill back?
yes, but he's got somebody in his office with him right now.
Okay, well, just slide him a note, tell him I need to see him when he's done, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Mm.
So we're gonna get you a copy of the bond, not the bond, the
The work
non-bond,
order.
the non-bond,
Work orders.
Yes.
list of what we're doing.
Oh, that's right.
And then we're gonna get you a copy of what we're doing in the way of work orders. I mean, I don't want to sound vague, or I don't want to sound like a politician where I'm telling you, oh, well, look what we're doing over here. But I mean, the real truth of the matter is flooding. If you just really take the emotions out of it and take my cargo trailer, it's never flooded out behind I say that where I live, there's 3 ponds behind my house, and I usually get water up close to, the backyard, but it's never come close. And anyway, but my cargo trailer got 2 foot of water in it because I didn't think it was going to get water in it. And but I mean, when you talk about people are losing their houses and stuff like that, but I mean, if you just stop and look at it from a logical standpoint, it doesn't matter if people spend, and I mean, if you really want to get into kind of a wasp nest of what's going on, they're spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money in the Harris County Flood Control District.
Mhm.
And they've got pumps, and they've got, canals, and they've got 10 o'clock news comes on, people still flooding? They are.
Now, what exactly would a drainage improvement district do?
That's what we'd look for areas that you could take and improve the drainage in to control the flooding.
Mhm.
And that would be done through putting in a series of canals. The canals would feed into the streams or the creeks and then on into the water. You know, what's funny is if you met Richard Traum, you've talked to Richard, hadn't you? The water guy, Porter Sud.
I've seen him online, but I haven't talked to him.
Yeah,
personally.
he's a pretty interesting guy. I mean, I really hated that he lived his useful purpose on the water board, but he is really a smart guy. But they are, instead of drilling another well for Porter Sud, they're capturing the water off. Probably make a good story for you, really. And they're capturing the water off the San Jacinto. I think they get like 2 million cubic feet, and they're building a treatment plant, and they're going to utilize the water we're trying to get rid of. They're trying to catch before it goes into the
Right.
ocean.
Right.
So
I kind of liken it to, when you have a home and you have a certain amount of maintenance that you should do every year to that home, or else it's just going to end up eventually falling down around you. And right now, it really seems like there's not like a steady plan to address the maintenance, the daily maintenance to keep it going. Is there just that many fires to put out, or what?
as far as drainage goes,
Yeah.
no. I mean, there's not enough manpower to do what I need to do is roads, and we do. I'm not saying we don't, because Great All crews are out every day, but it's a call response. They're putting the driveways in. They're cleaning the ditches out that people's water's not flowing out of. We're doing all that, but it's not like we've got a guy driving around saying, "Whoops,
Right.
there's a plugged driveway." Or we don't have to do that because we can't get to what we've got to get to right now. So, see, here's where I live. I live over in where Grangerland is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's Grangerland. My house is down right here. And the water
ponds.
flows along this way. And before I got to be the commissioner, my neighbors came over. My dad had built a pond here. And they said we were flooding them, these people here. Well, their house is 100% in the floodplain. The floodplain here on my house is right here at the back. And that's where the water, that's where my cargo trailer was, it come up pretty close, but it didn't. But, they came in and they made this guy take this pipe out. Well, it's backing water up on me. Well, I can't go. I mean, I can go, but I got to go run a track haul. And I mean, could I afford to do it? Yeah, I probably could. But then now we're in a legal battle with these people to put that culvert back in because they didn't have any right to tell that guy to take it out. They went to see some arbitration company in Houston, which has no bearing on what goes on up here. But just, it's crazy stuff like that. All right, let me show you where I live. That's my dad. He just passed away. He was 86. And there's my
Condolences.
little 1,200 square foot house out in the country. That's my grandparents. That house was built in the 50s. Yeah, and we put a metal roof on it and stuff. And I got an old barn over there that's got a bunch of junk in it. Fixed that post the other day.
Now, with regard to reporting such instances like, say, a fallen tree in the road or a ditch that's been all of a sudden backed up, what kind of system do you have in place for reporting? Should they just call the office?
Yeah. Yeah, they just call the office here. And believe me, stuff is it's all call responsive. Like, we get a call tree across the road, boom, we're gone. We got somebody on 24-hour call. That's the other thing that I didn't tell you a while ago, is we used to go out bring the barricades out. What we want now is when the officer pulls up and sees that there's a dangerous situation, there'll be a combination lock on there and they'll know.
Right.
And they can just come in.
I believe the Roman Forest
Hey, Bill.
City Council explained.
I know
that.
you'd given me a copy of the current roads we're working on that we fixed.
Mhm.
Can you print that out for me?
Okay, sure.
One other quick question. I know I'm the commissioner, I'm not supposed to know the answer to this, but like when we get a call and somebody's driveway's been there 20 years or whatever and it's collapsed, and we go out and fix that unless it's concrete, right?
Well, normally what we'll do is if they'll provide the pipe, we'll do the rest of it.
Okay.
We'll bring material and stuff with us, but we don't. We require them to buy
Oh,
the pipe. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Now, obviously, you have some discretion, for someone who's elderly or who's just not capable.
Right.
It's kind of
It's blocking the system up and they can't buy the pipe, then we have to go ahead and,
we have
Yeah.
to be able to reestablish the drainage. So yeah.
right.
Mhm.
If you'll print that out for us, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, you're looking for what? Not just the list,
Non-bond.
not just the current list of roads, the ones we've already done and the ones we're fixing to do.
Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep.
I'll do that.
Okay, man, thank you.
Thank you. Your 2 o'clock is out there.
Okay. All right, well, I'm on, while he's printing that out.
And then she's gonna get the work order stuff also.
Oh, yeah, Martha's
Yeah.
gonna print that out for us too.
Okay. Is there a way to switch this from reactive to proactive? I mean, there's obviously there's. Is there
Obviously,
no
you're short on
ordinance?
manpower,
Yeah.
and it's a small area, but still, isn't there some way you can enforce these various, like, ordinances
Well,
on this?
If it was like this, if it was like I could hire a guy
Mhm.
and he could go out and pull the stoppers out of the.
Mhm.
Hey, Bill. No. Oh, just the roads and stuff. That's good. Yeah, okay. If I could have this guy going around and pulling these out and the water would go down, and I know that when the flood came, it'd be flowing fine, everything would be great, we would find a way to make it happen. The problem is just exactly what I told you. Harris County is spending billions of dollars, and they are being proactive, and people are still flooding. So,
But you said that it would be better. A lot of the homeowners need to do that themselves, kind of help. That you're getting reporting from homeowners, and some owners go out and try to fix things
Right.
themselves. But to
Agreed.
make it, I'm talking baby steps here. Where if you make it where everybody knows that they have to call the county when they want to put a new culvert in.
yeah, and we've talked
see what I'm
about,
saying?
we are working on a kind of a deal that we can put out around the chamber and the businesses about
Mhm.
what to do when you move here, what the process is, and we're working
Basic
on
procedures.
communicating
Mhm.
so we do get more. But I'm gonna tell you what, there is zero problem with people letting us know that their neighbor
Right.
put it. I'm telling you, it's like, it's like the people that call in on the tax man because somebody built a carport, But
Mhm.
I'm telling you, we get those reports. It's not like we're
Right.
waiting until it floods. People are calling us, and when it does rain,
Mhm.
we really do. The amount of calls that come in during a rain instance is it's almost unmanageable, really.
You can't really go out and fix the ditch whenever in the middle of it.
Right. Okay, let's walk up front.